What's up, everybody? Thanks for clicking this video. Thanks for tuning into my channel. My name is Simon Hill, Black American from Louisiana, coming to you live from Budapest, Hungary. Today is November 23rd, 2025, about 8:25 p.m. where I'm at right now. And we are doing a live call-in show with the people, chatting it up, seeing how y'all doing out there. Just, chilling on this nice Sunday evening. Hopefully you good out there wherever you are. Hopefully you've been enjoying the content we've been dropping on this channel. Acty and I just did a new movie review for a Sidney Poitier classic, A Patch of Blue. That should be dropping in about 2 hours or so. So it should be uploaded after I do this live stream. I plan on being on live for about an hour or so. And everybody is welcome to join. And I have no particular topic that I want to get to or talk about. But I'm out here with y'all if y'all got anything y'all want to say. It's been a busy week for me. Busy. Every day is busy. Seems like no day is an off day. Every day there's something new going on, But things are good. Things are good with me. Just making sure y'all are good out there right now. I'm going to send my guy Nelson an email that we are live right now for the call-in show because I know he was excited to do the one battle after another. So I'm sending him an email. Hopefully he gets it. I do a lot of live streams and I don't want anybody to ever get annoyed, you know what I'm saying, with the content if there are too many notifications or anything like that, So if it works better, you could turn off notifications. Hell, you could even unsubscribe. I really don't care. I don't care. You could unsubscribe. You could, because the views are what matters. You know what I'm saying? The subscribers, yeah, they put you up in rank. But even YouTube right now is downplaying subscribers. Like on the mobile app that I have, you can't even see how many subscribers people have when you go on their channel just initially. You have to click on their channel to actually see their number of subscribers. Should that even be public? Should that even be public? If we really think about it, the only reason people can see your subscribers is for clout, It's just a flex. Because what does it matter to you if the content isn't something that you're interested in? Or, it could be botted up. I think that's part of the reason why YouTube did that, at least for my mobile app. Let me know if anybody else's mobile app. I'm using an iPhone 14. If I remember right, this is an iPhone 14. Right? Yeah, this is an iPhone 14 Plus I'm using. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, I don't see subscribers. You shouldn't. It doesn't even matter how many subscribers you have. Because there's channels that have less subscribers than me that get, more consistently large numbers of views. You know what I'm saying? Speaking of that, yes. So I've been getting recommendations now for the Zomet. And the Zomet is, I don't even know where to start with this. So, like I said, I'm going to go back in time. Last week, I did a live stream. Me and my guy Nelson were chopping it up on live. I was telling him I wanted to write a book titled Afrofascism, a Manifesto, laying out the ideology of Afrofascism as I would see it. Not as a declaration that I would endorse, but rather as a blueprint for understanding a dangerous ideology that I feel is around the corner of melanated people, primarily black people, because that's who I'm concerned with, though other groups of people could fall prey to this. But a specifically racist, violent form of fascism that would be spearheaded by black nationalists, right? And because I spoke about that, of course, all our devices are listening to us all the time. I'm now getting recommended Afro-fascist content on my timeline, on YouTube, right? Which is not cool. And so there's this guy out there who runs this organization called Zamit, and I don't even want to call it an organization. I mean, it's just a platform where he's doing like the best black Nick Fuentes rendition, right? And he's doing his video uploads, and it's a very small channel. He has around 2,000 subs, and he gets around 2,000 views per video, right? Or around that, 1,000 to 2,000 per video, which is actually really good for his channel that size. You know what I mean? I haven't even consistently hit 1,000 views per video. You know what I'm saying? No matter what era I was doing, whether I was in my travel era, whether I was in the Blackset era, whether I was in the movie review era, whether I'm in the book reading era, you know what I'm saying? All the eras of my channel have always been very low, That's just what it is. But his platform is growing, of course, and I listened to one of the Twitter spaces that he posted up where he was talking on Twitter with a bunch of other black men, supposedly, and they were talking about how they need an aristocratic class of black people to rule over the deluded masses. Apparently, all of us are stupid except for them. All of us are ignorant except for them. All of us are weak except for them. All of us are easily led astray except for them. The hatred of women is natural, as we should accept. All other non-heteronormative styles of living are abominations that need to be shunned, eradicated. So we need to acknowledge that. So they were just going on and on and on. And of course, this is a small group of people, right? But it was still, once again, very disturbing. I find all of this so disturbing that these young men, younger than me, man. These young men, younger than me, because I'm 35 years old, and I've been traveling, reading, writing, studying, and I'm still so shocked at how this young generation, this new generation, are being led down a path that our ancestors walked down. And I'm not even talking about our racial ancestors or the ancestors of our lineage who went through years of chattel slavery and segregation and prison industrial complex. I'm talking about the human ancestors, just in a more total form. Our human ancestors walked down these same roads, these same paths. You know what I mean? The idea that there are naturally superior types of people, making misogyny a bedrock of an ideology, trying to seek an ideal in imperfect people, and then building worldviews that are ideographic in nature, where you start with a theory and then you try to use this theory to then build out how a world should look like, rather than observing the world for what it is and then building theories on how it could be better. I am so disappointed. The kids today, they're saying we're cooked, and all I'm seeing is the water slowly boiling even hotter. It's so disturbing, so depressing, so sad, and I've just been. It makes me not want to write, because I know I'm a talented writer. You know what I mean? As you know, I write for Culturalist Theory. Go check out the episode I just. I wrote that episode well over 5 months ago. But check out the new episode I wrote for Too Short on Culturalist Theory. But I know I'm a good writer, and I'm scared to actually now write the Afro-Fascist Manifesto, because if I actually do write it, one of those dumbasses is going to pick it up. It's going to be the only book they've ever read, and then we're all fucked. You know what I mean? But I would have to write the Afro-Fascist Manifesto and then the response to it to actually, save the day. That's all I could do. But, that's just what's been on my mind. What up, Nelson?
What up, man? How you been doing?
I'm doing well, man. I've been thinking about our discussion last time, since when we were talking about female mate selection and hypergamy.
Yeah.
I don't want to make this around two, but I just was really building on this idea that hypergamy, as we know it, or female mate selection, is a relatively new concept because women have not had the ability to choose their mates. We come from 400 years of slavery. You know, the majority of African Americans have like 20% of the white man's DNA in them. That's not because grandma was choosing up on the slave master. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
as we know, like when you were talking about, oh, what you'll see across cultures and spaces and countries is women being hypergamous, but it seems like relatively new. And that's still only in Western countries, I guess. But what do you think?
Well, I think that people underestimate um, the role of women, even in, I don't want to say forced, in arranged marriages.
Okay, so like when they were doing arranged marriages in India, and they said you will marry this man, or when Genghis Khan had like 600 concubines, like the women could have done what instead of
Well,
getting.
Genghis Khan, that's a different thing. I don't know how marriage worked for the Mongols, but
Okay,
even in cultures also with arranged marriages, the elderly woman and the woman also they also have a lot of say, which is contrary to the popular imagination, which is simply the father saying you're gonna do this and this, but in reality, it wasn't so simple.
okay, but the.
And that and
Mhm.
like and the most recent thing, only now in the 21st century have women have been made free to make their own choices, and they're more free to be more self-reliant. So they're more free to observe to follow their own instincts and so forth.
Mhm.
So if we go to see like I don't know, like agrarian societies and so forth, I mean we should see more or less somewhat equal marriages,
Really?
or not marriages, marriages in may say mating pairs or something,
Okay.
pair mates or something.
Okay. Even in societies where they have arranged marriages, even in these agrarian societies where they do female genital mutilation, even in rural societies where they still
Yes,
practice
absolutely.
slavery, there would be equal
Because
mating pairs.
you're thinking woman oppression, woman like keep down. But sure, that's happening. But what they're thinking, it's like value distribution, survival of the family. And part of it, it's based on our own nature, of course. Not all of it, of course. A lot of it is cultural, but some of it is part of our own nature.
Okay, so when they kidnapped all those big booty black women from West Africa and took them to Brazil and Cape Verde, the women were just, doing natural mate selection.
You're picking like different things. You're saying like what are you even saying here, Sam? Are
What
you
I'm
going to
saying, what
compare
I'm
arranged marriages in a wait? Are you going to compare arranged marriages in the same village or something with the chattel slavery from across the Atlantic?
I'm just saying what you're saying, that it's natural that hypergamy would happen, but all we've seen throughout human history is that women's choices on who they mate with and reproduce with has been greatly influenced by society, culture, events, and also men's desire to
Well,
control their reproductive.
most of history, man and woman, not just woman, didn't get to have much say on who they were going to choose, right?
Men have had way more say for most of human history in choosing who they're having sex with, at least.
Having more say doesn't mean that they would have substantial say or a complete say like we have today.
They have. I'm confused. They have way more power to be able to
They could have
dominate
like
women.
that's it's not Simon. It's not like you think. It's like when they arrange marriages, it's the parents who do it. It's not the young guy. The young guy usually has more of a voice. I suspect more than the girl, right? Because
Hmm.
men are seen with more agency as more autonomous and so
Hmm.
forth. But they're still subservient to the elders. This is not just gender dynamics.
So are you saying that hypergamy is still
You
a
just
net?
you
Are you
just
saying
you
that
just
wait?
said you,
I just want to clarify because if you say that hypergamy is a social reality in certain conditions and
no.
situations, then I'll agree with you. But what you were arguing last time is that hypergamy is a natural part of what of the female sex's decisions in mate selection, and it's true across cultures and time and space.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, and even though we have countless examples of women not being able to choose. Still now today, like in my country, where they're taking away their rights to abortion and Plan B and all sorts of medication, women still have more power and autonomy in their reproductive power.
I mean, I'm not seeing the contradiction here.
Okay, where is there not a contradiction? How are you not seeing it? If women have
Uh,
the power to choose hypergamously, then how come all throughout slavery and still now through to today, they are being limited in their ability to actually act on this?
Women today are being limited on how?
Like I said, they women are being told that they cannot have abortions. For example, let's say a woman is raped by a man who
Women today are more free to follow hypergamy because today they have much less consequences to getting pregnant or so forth,
so
right?
let's
We
say
have condoms.
okay,
Well,
let's
we have condoms. We have condoms. In most of the Western world, we have abortions. We have pills. I
mhm.
forgot the name of the pills. So they're far more likely to engage in that behavior.
Let's say a woman wants to choose hypergamously. She wants 6 foot tall, six figures, six pack, but she gets raped by a 4'5" little dick nigga. And now she lives in a state where she can't get an abortion. So how is she able to then choose her ability to be hypergamous if men are now telling her she can't have an abortion because she got raped
She
by this
can
little dog?
she can definitely still be hypergamous because she'll have much a more abundant of choice, and she'll still have condoms and pills.
Hypothetically, let's say we're in Saudi Arabia or a
Yeah.
future America where condoms and pills are off the table as well. And women are still, you're still going to say women have the ability to act hypergamous, or it's a natural part of them to act hypergamous. I would argue that women in this case would be not acting hypergamously at all. They would actually be acting in different ways because of different conditions.
The how do they act?
It's almost hard. It's almost incredible, like impossible to predict. But it surely wouldn't be in the ways that they act now, where you don't have as many consequences for having sex with men that you find more attractive. But if you're living in a condition where you could get easily pregnant and caught up and lose your life, possibly by having sexual encounters with men you find attractive, then you're not going to be acting in those ways.
Well, if in your example, without the abortions, without the abortions, without how do you say, the pills and
Mm-hmm.
condoms and so forth, but they can still make that choice or whom you can date for free. Well, what will actually happen then, you'll see much more hypergamy and
Okay.
more equal societies. It's much less accentuated, severe. They can choose for personality, taste, ideology, shared lifestyle, and so
Mm-hmm.
forth. But in more extreme and more heavy situations, right, where they're more dependent on men for their survival, and they still have their own choice, you would see more pronounced hypergamy, not less.
Okay. I'm not disputing the fact that hypergamy might be a social reality under certain social conditions, and we spoke about that with the study in Israel, right? Like a Middle Eastern country, women choose up more than the men do, but we also saw that in societies where women and men have less gender inequality, women are more homogamous, and everybody tends to want to be in their same social class, right?
That's yeah, exactly. But like, no, note what you said. It's a lot about the environment, right? If you're in a first world country, right, it's much like easier to cover, right? Because you're going to be around your social circle, more likely than not, will be people similar or slightly above you, right, in terms of
Mm-hmm.
socioeconomic status.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't really quite register that, right? But
Right.
if you're in a more unequal country, in a third world country, right, then you'll be more obvious, it'll be more pronounced,
Mm-hmm.
more naked.
Right. But I would also argue that there might be other social factors that are making those women act in ways rather than it be a natural phenomenon or a part of them, which I
Okay,
disagree.
like which?
Like the idea that that women just naturally are choosing men based on these factors, which are very different because to be a high value man, to borrow that term, is very different in culture and society. And I guess that just shows that people are reacting to their social conditions rather than acting out parts of their innate biology or wiring.
Uh, I mean, I don't know. Even if even if what, like, let's say a high value male in agriculture, I don't know, Ghana, in some like place, some very poor place, a high value male, what would be their high value male? He would be a man with a lot of influence and status in the village,
Mm-hmm.
with a lot of cows, a lot of able to resources,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe he would be fit enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's different from what's a high value male in Portugal, right?
Uh-huh.
But still, certain traits remain, like uh, resource value, resource sharing, status, domination, and so forth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that. There will be different conditions in different countries of what considers somebody high value. I agree with that.
Yeah, but like, but look, what's the commonality here? A surplus of resources,
Mm-hmm.
status,
Mm-hmm.
fitness, face symmetry, and so forth, and many other things.
Uh, I don't. The other things I can discard like face symmetry or attractiveness because that's subjective for every person. I'm sure you've seen those African tribes that do scarring. They take the young boys and young girls too and put knives on their face and make scars that grow on them. And some of them are asymmetrical, but it's considered beautiful there. Or
Well,
or to make it.
that's
Mm-hmm.
that's true, but even there, even in those places, more likely than not, somebody more tall will be deemed more attractive than somebody shorter. Somebody more rich will be deemed more attractive than somebody poorer,
Okay.
right? Even in those places,
Even if
right?
some.
Somebody who's more muscular, or somebody who's more not necessarily very muscular, but fit, lean,
Mm-hmm.
will be might be more deemed more attractive, and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
What counts is like what's domestic violence, right?
Domestic violence.
You know domestic violence,
I
right?
think so.
Of course,
Yeah.
you know what's domestic violence. Yeah.
Yes.
So domestic violence usually it comes from trauma from childhood, right?
Um, I wouldn't. I don't know. I wouldn't usually. I
Yeah.
wouldn't say usually. It could come from a myriad
Yeah.
of factors. Who knows?
If you want to treat domestic violence, the way therapists go about it these days
Mm-hmm.
is they go about it your it's via trauma, right? They
Okay.
usually they come from families, violent parents, and so forth, disorganized families, and many so forth, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what happens because of the culture we live in?
Mm-hmm.
It manifests through social cultural scripts, right?
Mm-hmm.
And those cultural scripts sometimes are wait, the woman needs to be in the house. If she doesn't, I need to slap her around. They manifest to different ways, to different cultures, but the base of it typically is the same.
Okay, but you're also ascribing these physical things to these cultural scripts. I agree with you that having surplus of something in a society built on accumulation is going to make you more attractive to people who need surplus to survive, right? But then when you add
Hmm.
on physical things like face symmetry and height, these are subjective also, and it's different from culture to culture. I would argue that we place more value on the uh, the physicality of people or the heights of people because of the prevalence now of sports and the professionalization of this industry. Because now we know if you have a 7 foot tall son, that 7 foot tall son could make six figures a year playing for the NBA. It probably wasn't as
Uh,
valued as much back then. There was
I mean,
probably a
I
ton of
think
tall
I
people.
think women like taller men. I mean, I don't have honestly, I don't have like data on it, but I'm very like confident if I was to judge that woman preferred stronger, taller men in a before any sport
Hmm.
because taller, stronger men are more likely to successfully protect you, right? Or not even taller, just stronger in general, right? You don't need to be tall to be strong, right?
Okay.
And so forth. Those women who chose those men were more likely to successfully pass their children. And
Okay.
those traits of choosing come to a hill till today. I'm poorly arguing, but I get you know what I mean.
I kind of get it, but how does that make sense in a modern world? So a girl is gonna, she's between a bunch of guys with muscles and
Because
a bunch of
because
guys
people
with guns.
because we haven't changed that. A lot of our inner architecture is still the same, even if we are in a totally different digital world. We just don't we're not going to change overnight.
Uh,
Technology outpaces human evolution like much faster.
yeah, but our human evolution has not been built into our social interactions. Our,
It definitely has been built with social interactions.
no, no, it
Like
hasn't.
why? Okay, why does universally in most culture dark is seen as good and light is seen as something dark is seen as bad and light is seen as something good.
Okay.
More likely than not, what happens in the dark? We not cannot see predators. It's harder to see our family clans and so forth. So a lot of culture, let's see for art, it associates the dark with bad and so forth, right? And where does that from? And where does that stem from?
That
From
that's
past human evolution.
or it could also stem from this the reality still that we that things are still dangerous at nights more. You cannot see. You're
No,
going
no,
outside, you're driving, you're
people
more likely
stuff
to
is
have
dangerous at
car
night.
accidents when you're driving in the dark.
Stuff is dangerous at night for human beings, right?
In
If you were a
general, yes, but
lion,
that's
like
still
yes, you can see at night, right?
hmm
Who doesn't who sleeps during the day or something, right? A different animal with different biology would have a different if you to have art and culture would have different connotations to these things. Not the same. Night is not inherently dangerous. It's because of our sleep cycles. It's because of our ability to see light, right? The ways our eyes are adapted and so forth.
hmm But I would argue that the light and dark comparison is still based on some common things that we still go through now. There have been many things that humans used to do in our primordial past that have that have no influence on our culture now that probably will be concepts
Like what?
like things that we couldn't even imagine, like the idea of putting two sticks together to make a fire, or flinting rocks, or things like that. Like the
What?
pardon?
What? Sticks.
Yes, like the like making early fire.
You don't have sticks. We don't have like the shared trait of sticks to make fire, but we still have intelligence, right?
Right,
Yeah, and why do we have intelligence? Because more intelligent people are more likely to survive and then reproduce.
right. Not strong people, because there were probably a bunch of strong people that did not get to pass on their genes.
Well, not all strong people pass their genes, but if you're stronger, you're more likely to pass your genes. And
Yes.
if you favored stronger people, you're more likely to pass your own genes, right?
Yes, but strength is a social concept because who was stronger, the Goliath or David? Who was stronger, Julius Caesar, who was shorter than most of the people in the Senate? I don't even know if that's true, but that could be an example. For an example, like Caesar was a
Yes,
military.
strength is a nuanced, right, and is a multifactorial thing, right? That's I
Mhm,
cannot disagree with that. And there's ways to overcome strength, which may not be seen as strength, but become strength or so, right?
mhm,
Through intelligence, through social organization groups, and so forth, right? But we still have is it the cerebrum or something in the most
mhm,
primitive parts of our brain or more
mhm,
monkey brain? We still favor those things that animal architecture is
mhm,
still in our brains, right? And it's still in our way we socialize. It's not going
mhm,
away.
mhm,
For example, yes, David is more powerful, stronger in certain ways, right? In nuanced ways than Goliath, right? But if we were to put a woman in a brain scan, and then we put pictures of David and Goliath, the parts of her brain which correlate with desire and excitement and so forth would go higher when she saw Goliath, right? But that doesn't mean like that's wait, yeah, that's true, right? But that still doesn't mean that when she goes in real life, she meets David and she gets a more nuanced view of David, right? She gets okay because she's still a human being. She can still rationalize and think, okay, he's not that strong, but he's very smart. He makes up with
you
smarts
don't
and he's very charismatic and
you
so
don't know
forth.
if that's true. You don't know if that's
Wait,
true.
let me finish. There's still her more ancient part, her ancient part of her brain, right? But there's still her more developed, more new parts of her brain, right? Which will make her to make certain nuances and so forth.
Right. You don't know if that's true because it could have been in that time if you were so to happen to take an MRI back in time to scan this ancient woman's brain when she looked at a 7 foot tall man and said, "Oh yeah, she'll be aroused when we do the MRI scans." That society, tall people were seen as demons if they were viewed as wizards or giants or something evil. In Africa, right? You people give the impression that, for example, light skin or being closer to whiteness is considered beautiful. How does that explain the thousands of albino people every year who are abused in Africa, relegated to the margins in Africa, etc.? Right? They are damn
Because
near white.
you and me have a poor understanding of genetics, but
There's nothing
what
in
is
relation
supposed
to genetics when it comes
wait,
to
but what is supposed
attractiveness and a people's attraction to others. It's all socially built and constructed. There's nothing inherently in
that's
us.
totally false. That's totally false because we human beings are designed to find attractive for health fitness. This is you search for that Simon on Google right now.
We're we are. How does
Everything from strength, from
strength is not
status,
real? Well, you keep
from
on saying strength, but
from
strength could be intelligence. Donald Trump has
wait
more strength than me, even though I could beat up Donald Trump in a fight.
exactly for a lot of women, he will be more desired than you.
I would okay, but I would argue, I would argue that Donald Trump could get more women than me. And in fact, the
Yes,
fact he went
why?
to Epstein
Why?
Island proves he did. The fact he went to Epstein Island
But
proves
why?
he got
Because
more
he's more
women than
handsome
me.
than you. But why?
Because he has more money, access, and power. If the
Wait,
goal is to
and what's
reproduce,
that? And what does money convert to? And power convert to power in itself.
it,
Okay, what does money convert to?
there could be a correlation that money correlates with
Resources,
intelligence and resources. Yes, but
status,
it
and so
doesn't
forth.
relate
Right?
to strength,
There's
which I which, as you said, is nuanced.
I mean, I mean, you just proving my point.
Okay, I have zero children. Donald Trump has seven, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, of course he has lived longer than me. But in many of the categories that you're speaking about, I surpass Trump in. Maybe he would surpass me in just being a white man who just so happens to have blonde hair and blue eyes, right? But in many other ways, I would surpass Donald Trump in our society's view of attractiveness. So explain that.
Because attractiveness is a multi-factor thing, right? For example, for men, attractiveness is quite simple most of the time. It's usually quite physical, right? But for women, attractiveness is not only like face symmetry and so forth. It's also, like I said many other times, its status, its influence, its power, and so forth, right? So, and we have tried to compare. For example, sure, you can maybe beat up one or two guys, right? But he has enough status and influence that he can order the destruction of the world via atomic bombs, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, in one level of power and strength, it completely, utterly surpasses anyone on the planet.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes.
Speaking of strength, about the strength of Perfidia and the strength of Tiana
But wait,
Taylor's
no, let me,
performance.
no, wait, just before we go, no, no, let me make you questions. You made me a lot of questions.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Okay, let's say like I'm going to ask you if you think this, and you correct me if this is your position or not.
Go ahead.
Okay, sorry. So, do you think that women ever participate in reproducing patriarchal norms?
Absolutely.
How?
Um, just for an example, there are many religious women, and the majority of our religions are patriarchal in nature, where women cannot hold positions of power as clerics or priests or imams or rabbis, and they tell other women this is natural, this is the way to be. And to an extreme part, there are women that are the cutters of clitorises all throughout parts of the world where they practice female genital mutilation. Those are just some
Okay,
examples.
now let's say Denmark, right?
Yes.
Denmark is, if I'm not wrong, is a mostly atheist society, right?
Mm-hmm.
And with very weak religious institutions, right?
I would say so, even though I think Denmark has an official church. Isn't it the Lutheran Church? That's the
Yeah,
official church.
but I mean, uh, many countries still have a monarchy, but that doesn't mean they are a strong institution like they were before, at least.
True.
But you know what I'm saying, right?
Right?
Okay. And you would say compared to other more religious countries, right, that they're more equal, right?
Uh, Denmark, in this case, it's not more equal because it's less religious. It's more equal because of
Yes.
its because, like you said, the church as an institution is not as powerful as it used to be. So there are other things that are more important in defining equality. But go ahead.
Okay. But like you would still agree that's a patriarchal country, right?
I don't know everything about Denmark, but I would assume that most of the people who are CEOs, most of the leaders, most
We
of
have
the
power.
yes, are men in power.
Yeah.
I would assume.
Okay. No. So how in that country would women go about participating in reproducing patriarchal norms?
Mm. Through I would say it would becomes privatized a bit and would then pass on to like the microaggressions or the passiveness of patriarchy.
Shaming,
So
shaming other women,
huh?
shaming other women.
Shaming other women, telling their daughters and sisters, girls don't do that type of job. Also, maybe supporting patriarchal norms, like the idea that women are supposed to behave a certain way or act a certain way, that sort of
Not
thing.
not 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 just that, but like preferring certain types of men, traditional men, stronger men, and so forth. Right?
If she is in love with a right wing fascist who, like, hates immigrants and communists and shit like that, then yeah, that's another way. Yeah, I don't think you can consider yourself an ally to women if you're giving pussy up to the fash.
Mm. Well, love is complicated, so at that I'm not gonna judge.
I will.
So okay, that's fair too.
You're not gonna judge a woman
So
if she sleeps with a white supremacist, like a full-on neo-Nazi.
I'm gonna judge. Well, I'm gonna judge him, and I'm going to think if she's a liberal, I'm going to think you're doing something kind of toxic here. But I'm not going to judge her.
Hmm.
It's just something I don't do like as a rule.
Okay.
Okay. So would you say that it's legitimate to talk about women's choices about as a mechanism through which patriarchy gets reproduced?
I guess you could argue
I'm
I'm
not saying I'm not saying they invented it. I'm just saying that they're not passive.
repeat the question one more time.
Okay. Do you find that it's legitimate, right, to talk about women's choices as one of the mechanisms through which patriarchy gets reproduced? And I'm not saying that woman invented patriarchy, right? I'm saying that they're not passive or just victims of it.
Are you saying for me as a man, by me passing judgment on their choices,
No, no, no.
I'm
Let me
somehow
let me say let me ask again. So you find it legitimate, right? Do like
yes?
is it reasonable, right, to
Mm-hmm.
talk about women's made choices as one of the mechanisms, right,
Mm-hmm.
through which patriarchy gets reproduced? All
Yes.
right.
Yes,
I'm not.
because
I'm not saying. I'm not saying they invented it. That's not. That's not what I'm saying. Right. I'm just saying they're not passive.
no.
It's not
If you're a
legitimate.
person participating in society, um, in a lot of ways, you're actively reproducing the mechanisms that maintain that society. Some of them are more
Uh,
active than others, right? Uh, like, for an example, if you're in America paying taxes, you're passively supporting Zionism. But there are other
yeah.
people that are more actively promoting Zionism within America, right? Does that make
Uh.
sense?
So okay, I'm gonna choose this scenario. You're gonna tell me if it's an active or passive choice, right? So let's say every time a woman chooses a dominant, high status guy, right, over a kind, left wing, charitable, low status one. Is this like totally random, right? Or
If
like,
uh huh.
or is she acting on some certain structures? You say it's totally sociological. I'm saying it's social and biological, right? But let's set that apart. So, like, what do you say there?
Um, if a woman chooses to be with a right wing powerful man,
Not necessarily the right wing, right? It can be center, poor politics. Most people have no real politics, right?
mm-hmm,
It's simply that he's a dominant, high status guy, right? But there's like was a guy who's low status, right? Low attractiveness, right?
mm-hmm,
Measured, but he's kind. He's a feminist. You know, he's good with children,
mm-hmm.
right? So is every time that a woman chooses this guy, right, who she finds attractive, right, naturally, right? Is she helping to is she enforcing patriarchy?
Um, inherently, no.
How so?
If she number one, people, you know, like no, I would say no. She's not enforcing, but I don't get why that's like me double backing or contradicting myself. I would love to know how you think I might be contradicting myself because that laugh sort of
Because
gives it
like
away.
obviously, right, if you're encouraging with one of the most, just like we were talking, remember the No Nut November.
Yeah, it's still going on.
Remember that one of the most powerful forces for human beings, man or woman, right, is reproduction, right? And a lot of the way men shape themselves and so forth, so they become attractive and they're able to reproduce their own genes.
I would say that reproduction isn't the most powerful force.
What did you say? What did you say? You said
Sexual.
that everything is about sex except sex, which is
Yes,
about
but I
power,
said
right?
sex, not reproduction. Not everybody wants to have kids.
Okay,
People
and
want
sex
sexual
is
pleasure, but that does not
yeah.
always include reproduction.
I I know, but it's pleasurable because your brain is thinking reproduction. Like consciously, you know you're not going to reproduce, right? But you get like an explosion of dopamine and so forth, right? Because
Right.
your most ancient part of the brain is thinking reproduction. You're not, right?
Repro-
But we are multiple different parts, right?
I separate the two, and I don't think that the explosion
I
of
know, I know.
the explosion of
Everybody,
dopamine and
everybody.
joy that we get in our brain is from busting big fat nuts, not from gestation in 9 months.
No, no. Like, try to understand what I'm saying, right? Like, I'm gonna have sex with a girl, right? I'm gonna bust on her, right? Like, consciously, I'm not thinking I'm gonna have a child with her, right? Obviously, but our brain is not only the conscious part. Actually, the conscious part of our brain, the phenomenological experience of our brain, is actually a very tiny manifestation of a brain capacity of what's happening inside the brain, right? There's a
That's
part of you in your brain that's thinking, "Oh my God, we're gonna have a child." Every time, even if you just jerk off, you're thinking, "Oh my
what?
God, we're about to reproduce." And the brain,
I'm-
and yes,
I'm-
yes, and the brains, as in mechanisms, right, that reward that, right. That's why porn is so bad. For example, right, you're using something that wasn't really fit to use with today's technology, and you're oversaturating it.
um, I separate the two because neither of these are biological needs. Sexual reproduction is not a needed part of our life as organisms on this planet. Um, Eating food is
That's not
what you would
true.
say would make sense in the sense of eating food. Of course, we eat food that's not bland. We put flavor on it and
No.
spices, right? Because we want joy while doing this mechanical function we need, right? Drinking water or drinking other substances would also apply here. But sex is not a needed biological function, right? And so while you might attribute the dopamine rush in our brain to the sudden idea you might have a kid, that I think that says more about your maybe desire than of everybody
No,
else's because
it's no,
this is
Simon.
not
This
the
is not
same.
about, now, Simon. You just you keep you're making like very human, like human desire. You know what I'm saying? It's not like a rational actor that's thinking and so forth. Most part of our brain is irrational, is emotional, it's primitive and so forth. This is like neuroscience. I'm not saying me, like I cannot distinct two different things. I'm saying that your brain, parts of it, the structure of it, the architecture of it, reward certain things because they think certain things are going to happen, even though they're not.
The brain rewards busting the nut, not gestation. The brain rewards
Simon,
sexual
Simon,
arousal of the clitoris,
your brain,
not gestation.
your brain is favors busting the nut because it thinks the gestation is about to happen. Go online, like you don't believe me, just go online.
Okay. I'm using the mind, not online. We're not going to
No, it's
chat
just like
GPT this.
because if you're gonna do these things to like object to just like subjective opinions, then we're not gonna go anywhere. We're just going to disagree. But these are hard facts that you can look for. This is research.
It would be hard for me to believe that my brain would be busting out dopamine off of the idea of reproduction. If that were the case, I could go to an IVF clinic and bust big fat nuts off just thinking of the idea that women are getting pregnant from the turkey baster going in them. Just
Which
thinking
you can, yeah.
if this were actually true, let's actually this is why I use my mind instead of just going online. Let's think about this. The idea of reproduction is what causes the brain for dopamine. We've been talking about reproduction the entire time, and I have not got a hard on. I have not started getting aroused, and I can look at a pregnant woman and not get aroused. So
That's your like what you're saying. It makes like no sense. I mean, do the same analogy you did, but with food.
But I can look at food and get
We
hungry.
can talk about food. We have our mouths and tongue, right? For language, and also for eating food, right? But not every time you think about food, you're hungry and you need. Oh my God! I just really need to eat, right? But it's a fact, right? Your mouth in there is in part there for digestion and to get food, right? Not every time you think about food, you don't feel the flavor of food inside your mouth, right?
Right.
You can manage it if you work on it, right? But not every time you talk food, it comes thing, right?
Right. I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Like I
So
think
you're saying that sex when we bust a nut is not really about reproduction, right? Because if because we can just I don't know like talk about reproduction and not get hard.
I think sexual arousal and the dopamine and the joy that we feel from it, if reproduction is a part of releasing that, it says more about the person's breeding kink than actually about the actual arousal that is happening.
Well, you can think that you can have a belief, but that's not what's happening. So, like, back to what I'm saying. So, you think when she chooses those male, is she helping reproducing the patriarchy?
I think from that example you gave, it's incomplete to really give a judgment on that. But if you're saying that a girl would choose some, Jim Bro dickhead over a nice, kind guy, we're also not going to just be able to say that people can make bad choices sometimes. We've dated, we've slept with, we've married people that were bad choices. That's a part of human life, and I don't think that we can always value judge it from the outside or even
You
in these
know, you know
hypotheticals
what I think,
without
Simon?
more detail.
You know what I think? I think you're trolling me, Simon. You're
I am
trolling me
not trolling
masterfully.
you.
You're trolling me
I'm not
masterfully, man.
trolling you. I'm being dead ass.
Yeah,
I'm being dead ass.
but yeah, I
Upholding
know what you're
patriarchy is
saying.
more than just picking a dumbass. Upholding patriarchy is when you're telling your daughters, like, yo, you can't be the president. You know what I'm saying? That's
I
patriarchy.
agree, I agree. But is she still doing it or not? When she's doing that
She
choice.
could do that with the left wing guy. Like I said, these choices that we make as
Of
individuals,
course.
she could get with the left wing guy who's very nice and he's reading Karl Marx to her at night, and she can still tell her daughter, "Hey, you shouldn't eat so much. You don't want the boys to see you're fat." You know what I'm saying?
And I'm not saying you. I'm not quantifying which contributes more to patriarchy. That's not the discussion. I'm saying is she doing it or not?
By choosing a person that she likes, no, just no. If she is heterosexual and she's choosing
Okay,
people
man.
that she,
If that's what you think, then okay.
how is it that she's upholding patriarchy just by choosing a person that she's attracted to? That's ridiculous. Just being
Because
heterosexual is not
she's
patriarchy.
reinforcing uh powerful male structures, right? She's reinforcing like why like let's be honest, like let's really be honest, Simon. Why do these guys like try to be politicians or rich or rappers or very successful men? So they can get pussy.
That's a simplistic way, but yes, some men also just want to dominate on
I mean,
other
of course,
people,
just
and there are other
people have
people that honestly
dreams.
believe in what they're talking
People are
about.
influenced by many things, right? But a lot of it, so they can get pussy. Let's be honest.
Okay, I, when I said last time everything is about
Let's
sex
say, let's
except
say,
sex, I would think I was just quoting Foucault. I'm not saying that's my full
no,
honest
let's wait.
belief.
Let's say, right, that tomorrow somehow woman like broke niggas, right? What's what do you think is gonna happen? Like a lot of guys, you know what? I'm gonna try to be rich now.
I'm gonna try to be broke. Right.
Of course, they're gonna try to be broke.
Right. A lot of people, yeah. We're gonna switch up. We're gonna switch
So
up.
like so when these it's like when these guys they see, oh okay, so these are the type of guys that get female attention. They get to play with these girls and they get to like play with them around shit. That's what I gotta do.
Right.
That's happens with a lot of young males, right?
Right. But I think we're also forgetting that female female subjectivity, there could also be a desire to be attracted to men, right? Like we're putting the pussy on a pedestal to some degree when we're saying like women are choosing these guys and why can't we get laid? Like there's a lot of women out here that are bending themselves over backwards. I would say honestly more than men sometimes to contort themselves into a vision of what we like. Getting BBLs, getting breast implants, not eating for days, not shitting for days, doing sexual
Well,
acts that
let's
they don't even like, all types of positions they don't
that's
even
that
like
is
because they
true.
want us to be
That is
happy.
true, right? Because women do have more pressure because males are a lot more they're less uh, more they said males are the more visual sex, right? So there's a lot of pressure for women to be more visually attractive, right? With
Mm-hmm.
not only in like also with age, right? Woman age impacts a lot more than a man's age, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's not only men; it's also like competition among women, right? Today, especially in today's social media,
Right.
and they're doing it right, just not for some chump, right? They're
Mm-hmm.
doing that so they can attract the most high quality males, the most high quality variation, right?
Sometimes, or
And
it's
they, and
sometimes
there's
just
and
the
there's
guy
some
they. It's sometimes it's just the guy they like. There are plenty of couples out here that are mismatched by what we would imagine. You know, beautiful girl,
I'm
ugly
sure,
guy to us, but to
but
them,
you can say, right? Let's be honest, right? Let's be honest for us men that a girl with a big booty, right? Let's be honest, gets more attention, even gets better treatment for men than a flat girl. Let's be honest,
mm-hmm. I
because
mean,
men like, oh my god, she has a big booty. I have to treat her with at least in the beginning, I have to show some respect or something, right?
okay.
I have to pay her dinner and so forth.
I mean, this argument sounds like an argument against no fault divorce. Because in some ways, you could say Melania Trump doesn't have to settle for Donald. She could, hypothetically, get another rich, powerful politician man like Justin Trudeau or Emmanuel Macron or whatever, handsome
But she's
Swedish
not a
politician.
dog, right? She's
Wait,
not a
wait, wait,
dog.
wait,
She
wait,
has
wait, wait, wait,
attachment
wait,
to
wait,
him.
wait, wait, wait. But people might argue, we can't let women just divorce their husbands without consent or mutual consent because they're just gonna leave us as soon as they see somebody else they like who's equally as rich and powerful as us. You know what I mean? If this hypergamy thing is true, but we don't see that
Well,
actually happening. Melania is stuck there. You know what I'm
that's
saying?
that's because you're seeing women mostly or overall as hypergamous, right? Where women are human beings or so. They have attachment to people and to things, right? Actually, what you're describing is what happens with males. Males usually, even if they have a hot woman, they see another hot girl, and if they can, I'm generalizing, if they can, they're going to have sex with a hot girl, even keeping the other one in a relationship. It's cheating. Right? A lot of guys, a lot of rich men, rappers, billionaires, all right, they have a whole roster, right? Even
Mm-hmm.
if they have a very beautiful, kinding, loving woman who would never leave them at home, they still do that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's what actually happens to males, right? But it doesn't happen all the time
Mm-hmm.
because males are human beings. They can be loyal, they can be good people, they can control their urges and so forth.
Right.
Yeah.
And that sounds like what I said earlier when
Sometimes,
you were saying,
sometimes, sometimes you're good with your girl, she loves you and so forth. And Drake comes along and she takes it from you, right? That happens, but it doesn't
or
mean it's gonna
not.
happen every
Or
time.
there's been women that have been exposing Drake in their DMs and they boyfriend broke as hell. I like, can you believe Drake just DM'd me? This fool.
That's
Knowing that she could have
exactly,
got
and
flown
and
out.
there's many rich guys with a lot of options who are loyal. People
Okay.
aren't just one
So
thing.
so then why are we making these claims that are so essential to people that women are hypergamous? When you just said a bunch of reasons why Melania won't leave Donald is because there's more things involved, such as social attachments, status, pressure, etc.
Because one thing doesn't deny the other. I'm saying people are complex, but one factor of their complexity doesn't deny the thing overall.
So black people are
A
stupid.
rainbow, a rainbow, a
Black people are
rainbow,
stupid.
a rainbow. Wait,
We're
a
naturally the
rainbow.
inferior.
No,
We're naturally less
no, no, no,
intelligent
no.
than other
I'm not going to
races.
race. I'm not going to go.
But there's some other social factors that are more complex have overrid this. But at the heart and core, black people are still dumb. Black people are still less intelligent.
I don't believe that. There's not good data to support that,
Why?
right?
We can look around. We can
Especially
look at the IQ scores.
no, no,
We can
no,
look at
because
other
no,
factors.
no, because if we pick up, for example, a black child born from, I don't know, Cape Verde, broke as hell, has no access to education, right? But they come to Spain and they have their children there. Their children are going to be far more high IQ than their parents,
Of course,
and their
because these other
children's
social
children,
factors
and their
have
children's.
overrid the base truth that black people are dumb. Because we took this
No, 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 no,
woman
no, no,
who
no,
would have been
no,
hypergamous, but
Simon,
we
no,
told her
no,
we trained her to value people on their values, their morals, their beliefs,
no,
their
no.
kindness over
Ah.
their big muscles and their strength and dominance. But at the core, she's still hypergamous. But we just overrode all of that with different coding and wiring.
No, that's not that's no like there. I'm not talking about an essence in intelligence, right? Because that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if if that African kid came to Spain, right, and he had better education, better nutrition, and so forth, the IQ difference from his parents, it wouldn't be that much, right? Maybe 10, 15 points. But what actually happens is substantial, right? A lot of it, like certain things are environmental, right? And certain things are genetic. But certain things are a little bit more environmental, and certain things are a little bit more um, in genetic, right? Like 80, 20, 30, 40. You know what I'm saying? You can say maybe that IQ is 30 to 40% um, genetic, right? And a lot of it is due to environment, right? But if we pick, but maybe hypergamy, it might be, I don't know if there's any quantification of it. It might be 25% essential genetic.
It's
And
not genetic at all. There's nothing in our genes. I will shut up forever if you find me the hypergamy gene. I will never say anything about this again. I will give you mad flowers. I'm gonna buy you all the caparinas you want. I don't care, bro. I'll I will give you everything I have if you find the hypergamy gene or the mate selection gene that tells us to choose up. Big dick baller gene. The basketball wife gene. Find me, please.
Why'd you make Nelson mad?
Is he mad?
I'm not mad. I'm looking for it.
He's looking for the gene.
It's not a single gene. It's an emergent thing. It's an emergent trait. But
It's an emergent
let me
trait.
see. Wait.
It's an emergent trait
Yeah.
from our genetic code, just like black violence, the natural inclination of the African to be violent, because
No,
long,
you're
long.
you're trying to say, oh my God, you think women are hypergamous? This is like race in IQ. Are you like one of those people? That's not really remotely the same thing.
How is it not the same thing? Women is
But
a
wait,
social
but
construct, race is a social construct, but we're still ascribing these genetic truths to these social constructs.
because people do have immutable biological truths.
Immutable biological truths are that we get hungry, we get sick, we get horny. These are our immutable biological truths. We live, we die, we ration, we rationalize, I mean. Acting, am I tripping? Am I saying anything that's like, what you think?
You were able to hold the fort down.
What do you think about the immutable traits of women or men that would make them choose mates?
Okay, sorry. I was just working on something, so my brain is a little frozen. I think there is a natural mate selection, but I don't agree that like women are naturally hypergamous or like same for men. I don't agree that they have certain leniencies, tendencies, yes. Because yeah, like natural mate selection is based on like how well you perceive the other sex, that they can carry your, I don't know, child, or they can give you the sperm and whatever. I think those things are natural, but how you come to that decision is shaped by the society throughout the history, of course. Like it's a combination of a lot of things that happen throughout human history. So that's why I feel like maybe Nelson believes like hypergamy is so common, because yeah, there was a long period of time where women like were hypergamous because of the societal standards they were in. But I wouldn't say it's innate. That's what I think.
Do you think that women are, looking at a man and being like, oh yeah, he can deliver that sperm to my ovaries?
I have never thought that. Like when I was selecting a date, my husband.
That just sounds crazy to me. And I don't
Simon, when you see food, do you think, oh my God, this is gonna get vitamin C to my liver and then distribute it to my body and to my skin and so forth? No, you think, oh my God, this food is tasty.
I actually think that about oranges. There's certain foods that you pick when I'm like really sick. I'm like, yo, I want some oranges, or I want some orange juice. But there's other times I'm like, I want some McDonald's, I want some Pizza Hut. Of course, there's different times that you think about things, and I think when it comes to sex, you're laying down with a partner, and you might be thinking, damn, I can't wait to tear this booty up just for the fun of it. And then there's like, I'm gonna make love to go half on a baby. There could be different things. We're complex creatures.
Let me ask you something. You think height is genetic, or is it like a social construct?
Height is not a social construct, but I do believe that words are construed in the human mind to have meaning. Height in and of itself has no meaning other than the meaning we give it as a word.
No, I'm saying height, like height.
Yes, but as
your height,
how tall somebody is, yes, that is not a social construct. Okay, I agree with that.
Okay, do you know any gene for height?
I'm sure there probably is one.
There isn't.
There isn't a gene for height.
No.
All right, and I was wrong. Oh, you want to jump in? Yeah. Okay, all right, just moving me out the way. There isn't a gene for height.
Do you know any gene for mental disorders?
I'm not a geneticist, so I don't know.
There are for some. I mean,
okay.
If let's say if your mother has depression, there's a possibility you can have depression genetically. It doesn't mean you're
there's substantial heritable, right?
Some of them are, yes.
Yeah. So why do we suddenly so Simon, why are you suddenly demanding like genes, right? When the trait is politically uncomfortable.
Because
you're like for height, because wait. For height, we don't know height gene, but we know height at least partially, right? Is emergent from genetics and other factors, right?
Yeah. I mean, I would say height comes from DNA.
Which holds our genes.
Yeah, I guess.
But if there is no height gene, what? Okay, we don't. You're saying that we know height is related to genetics, but there is no height gene.
It's polygenics. It's not genetics. It's polygenics.
I am not a geneticist, so you have to explain this.
It's basically like, let's say you have, you know what's temperature, right? It's hot or cold, right?
Yes.
No, when atoms are made in a certain way, when there's a lot of concentration of atoms, we feel heat, right?
Mm-hmm.
No individual atom has the property of heat, but when they're combined, they emerge into heat, into temperature.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So do that with height and hypergamy and so forth.
Okay, so both height and hypergamy are polygenetically transmission to like another person.
So your mama was a
Offspring.
thought who was choosing up, but your daddy kind of chose up, and it kind of interacts in your genes when you come out. So you kind of pick up your thoughting from your mama and daddy, similar to your height.
I mean,
Your
are you a thought, Simon?
I'm retired, sir. I'm retired.
So ask your mom. I mean, don't ask mine.
Wow.
Damn.
Damn. But no, think
No,
about
but
that. That's what
no,
you're
let's be
saying.
serious.
You're saying these social habits would get passed on polygenetically. So if I was hella violent and Acti is hella peaceful, somehow our child is somewhere interacting in between violence and peace in the social choices we made. Never mind the fact that, maybe I grew up in a rough neighborhood and she grew up in a very nice neighborhood, or vice versa.
Well, I do not know about violence. I don't think. I mean, maybe I'm not a geneticist, so you have to ask about that. I don't know much about violence. I don't know. I know a little bit much how people, do criminal behavior, but like the fundamental, like polygenic, genetic, or so for reasons of it, I don't know.
Is
I guess that I've heard there is some genetic component to violence. I've heard of it, but
Yes.
I haven't looked into it, so I cannot search. I cannot like give you a good answer to it.
But I think we also like it's proven now that we can't say just because you have a certain gene that's how you'll be, because our traits
Of
and
course
our,
not. Of course not.
behaviors are determined by the genes plus the environment that we grow up in. But I don't understand how you
That-
can compare.
That's what
height
I'm saying.
with
That's what I've been
hypergamy.
saying. That's exactly what I've been saying.
How can we compare height and hypergamy? Because one is like physiological, something we can see, and the other one is social.
Well, is not like attraction physiological?
attract?
No.
No, it's like no. I would say I wouldn't mind
No,
disagreeing
no.
with you.
I think it's no, because wanting to reproduce is physiological, but attraction is not.
Attraction is like very subjective. There's, you might find somebody beautiful, or a culture might deem something as beautiful that other cultures say is not. I would argue, like, in certain Asian cultures, they view narrow women as being more attractive, right? But is a narrow woman the best to reproduce if giving birth and having wider hips is better, right? If that makes the birthing process easier? You know what I'm saying? But this culture went against nature in this sense, right?
I mean, it might not be like for us. We are used maybe to wider hips. It doesn't look anything like a hip even to be considered for us, but for them it might be. I don't know. And in anyways, like I said many other times, things get expressed, distorted, or suppressed. So
Okay.
this is what I've been doing for the past hour.
I don't understand how hypergamy became like this, innate feeling or innate like preference, because it's not.
I mean,
The
let's
innate-
say we have a twin. Let's say, sorry, go on.
I was gonna say like the innate thing that we have is survival, right? That's how it started. And to survive, we chose the best mates. And to survive, we created cities and money and everything. And it slowly sort of became more than survival. It became kind of greed. And I don't know where hypergamy fits in there. But go ahead.
Like, let's say, like, if it were, what I'm saying, I'm going to repeat what I'm saying, right? I'm just saying, right? It's not 100% biology or 0% biology, right? I'm saying it's on certain things it mixes, right? And I'm saying, right, if it were poorly culture, you'd expect some cultures where women as a whole don't care more about resources than men, or even reverse cases, right? But instead, like we see the same directional pattern, very different ecologies, right? Culture modulates the strength, right? It expresses, it distorts or suppresses, right? But something deeper is clearly nudging the averages if you look at studies and so forth.
Okay, so yes, of course, some cultures might have hypergamy and might, tell their daughters and women that they should do hypergamy. And that doesn't still mean within that culture every single woman is hypergamous, because there will be people that don't fit with that idea. And it also doesn't
Yes,
prove that all women are hypergamous, because it will be still some cultures that praise that.
But what I'm also getting
well,
from what he's saying is that deep down inside, the women want to be hypergamous, and he said a culture might suppress that or express that even more, right?
that's not what I'm saying. I'm that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that deep down she wants to be one thing. I'm saying that deep down there's a certain expression of a choice, right? There's a certain taste that appears in various different cultures, right, across very different times, right? I'm not saying like, oh my God, I'm with this guy, but deep down I want the other guy. That's not what I'm saying at all.
But you're saying deep down, women would want to choose taller men on
I'm
average.
saying that no, I'm saying that deep down something is nudging the averages.
So are you
That's what I'm
so are you
saying.
not saying now that women don't want taller men?
Listen. I'm not saying that deep down, right? What you're saying is something like, "Oh my God, I'm with this guy," but deep down, I want that big dick BBC Tyrone rich nigga basketball player. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that deep down, right, something polygenic, right, is nudging the averages, right? This doesn't mean that all women are like X. It means the distribution is systematically skewed across cultures.
I don't understand what nudging the average means.
Nudging the average to make women choose taller men on average. Is that what you're saying? Women are choosing taller men on
I'm
average.
saying that I'm saying if you're a man with higher resources, right, with more physical fitness, right, and so forth, on average, you'll be a little more, or maybe even more, far more, easier to attract women overall, right? I'm not saying women are like
Okay.
X, right?
Yes, but that's the
I'm
same
saying there's
for
certain choices, right?
that's vice versa. It's the same, like if you're a woman and if you're physically beautiful, like the way each society interprets it, then it's the same for like men, that most men will choose that woman over the average woman.
But
Sure.
this only applies to a free society where women and men are equally able to make choices, which for most of human history has not been the case. For most of human history, men could literally just knock her on the head and take her. Doesn't matter how fit you were or not.
Yeah.
You could enslave her. You could take three or four of them, you know? So,
Human history is very recent. The Homo sapiens sapiens has existed for uh, uh, 300,000 years. Human history is
I think it's
basically
somewhere
just
between 1,000,000 and 500,000. But go ahead.
yeah. No, I think it's more recent. I think it's 300,000. The Homo sapiens sapiens, this type of human. But you might be right. I'm not sure. Human history, which is recorded history, is actually very recent. That's actually like uh I don't know, 20,000 years or so forth.
Mm-hmm.
That's like 5% or so of overall human history.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
If you want to think how we evolved to do certain things, you need to think more extreme human societies and more precarious situations, right? Where you're a woman and you have a bunch of human monkey predators. right? And you desperately need to protect yourself, but your body is not shaped like a man's, which is a lot stronger and so forth, right? You need to think like about human choices, about that kind of thing. Things made hundreds of thousands of years ago, which still influences today.
Okay, so just going back because I don't understand the human monkeys. Anyway, when okay, so you said the men in a certain type of way they get preferred more, and same for women. So then, what is your argument if it's the same for both genders today?
Well, my argument regarding what? I'm regarding what?
Like, what is the difference between men and women if both
There's
genders
no difference
tend to choose
between men and there's differences between men and women. Of course,
in
obvious
this
differences.
regard? I mean, not in general.
Uh, well, women like certain things, men like other things.
Okay, well, both I would say is kind of hypergamous.
Well,
In
yeah,
certain
you might be
conditions.
right in a sense because men do like women who are typically prettier than them, right? So maybe you're right on that sense.
In certain conditions.
Yeah, as much as
No,
the
men
culture and
overall
society
are very
allows.
shallow. No, men are very shallow, and overall, they just they would prefer basically a hot woman. That's it. That's true.
A hot woman to them. And maybe sometimes they'll even look past that. I've heard many a guy say, I'd lay up with Oprah. Martha Stewart can get it. At that point, it's not even about reproduction, it's not about attraction, it's about other things, status, power, things like that. And that
A
goes into
a
hypergamy.
pretty girl. Overall, a pretty girl, whatever you are, and you're in the Amazon or China, a pretty girl is going to get a lot more proposals, a lot more offers and gifts than a ugly fat girl. And the ugly fat girl might be a much better person than a skinny girl, right?
Ugly fat girl is
But
making $1 million
that's
on
how men
OnlyFans stepping on eggs and shaking it.
But
that's
And
how
she got a
men are,
man.
I
man.
think this also
Me-
this interpretation of hypergamy. I would say that if a man is with a hot girl, then that also increases his status. So that's also a type of hypergamy, I would say.
I mean, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, you can say that.
So
A
what
lot
do
of
you
it is,
think?
yeah, like like when for example, older men, right?
Hmm.
It's known, like in studies, right, that men usually prefer much younger women, right? When they're 60, they like the 20-year-olds, right? This happens everywhere in different cultures, right? But it's an also a status thing, It's like, oh my God, look, I'm really old, but I have enough resources and so forth that can get this really nice young girl. Ha.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I heard you were talking about Trump and millennia. Of course, millennia has some power because of Trump, but Trump also has power or status that comes from millennia of like having a hot wife, whoever considers her hot. So
Whoever considers her hot. Though in many ways she would convert the conventional status
yeah,
of
she fits the
the convention,
conventional.
but the convention
Yeah,
is always changing. It's social. So what might be hypergamous today is not considered hypergamous tomorrow, right?
yeah, and it will differ within cultures and groups of people
In
and
time.
in time.
And these are not innate things in people based on our gender. We're only reacting to our society. We're only reacting to, in my opinion.
Simon, I can send you a lot of studies, and you can go through them and so forth.
If I read these studies, are you going to actually be there in the chat getting debunked and you're just going to take it? Are you going to take it?
I mean, good luck. Yeah, of course.
Okay. Anyway, are we doing this one battle after another or not?
We can do it whenever you want.
All right then.
But like you have to concede. Someone here has to concede something.
I'm conceding that when a woman started talking and saying the same thing I said, you said, hey, yeah, you right, that show is right. You know what? That's a good point. She said the exact same things I said to you for over 2 hours, and you're like,
Well,
yeah, that's a
okay,
good point.
okay. Okay, you're saying the exact same thing, right?
Yes.
So let's say I'm gonna ask Akdi first, then I'm gonna ask you, Simon. Okay, Simon, Akdi,
Yeah.
you think human beings, what makes up human beings in our behavior, right? You think it's 100% biological, 100% social, or it mixes in certain things?
It's a mix, of course.
Of what
Okay, what
comprises a
about you,
human
Simon?
being,
Yeah.
what makes a human being is identification. Other people have to identify that as human for
You
us to be human. I look at it as
said you
like,
agreed, Simon. You said you agreed. You agreed. Come on, you said she said the exact same thing.
okay, all
Okay.
right, sure.
What?
I just wanted to be clear. I just wanted to speak for myself, so I made it clear, right?
Okay, for you, is it 100% biological, 100% social construction, or it's mixed?
Uh, the human is a biological species that we observe and that we're a
Yeah,
part of and that we
behavior.
identify. No, there is no set behavior to be human because let's say there's a person in a coma that does nothing, they're still human.
I'm saying the way behavior is expressed. You think is it manifest? You think it's 100% social, or it's 100% biological, or is it a mix?
There are some biological functions related to the species of human.
No,
Oh my,
okay.
this is such a
Okay,
simple
let's do that
question.
review.
I'm answering. I'm answering.
Okay.
Am I not? I feel like I'm answering directly. Am I not
I feel
answering
like
directly?
you're taking in another way.
I'm saying he's
Okay,
asking
give
me
me a
what is a
percentage. Give me
human,
a percentage. Give me a percentage.
a percentage of what makes a human.
What makes our
Oh, no, of
behavior?
what?
Is it the genetics or the environment?
Uh, our behavior.
Or like us in general, like our characteristics and our behavior. Of course, all of it is connected.
I would say maybe 5% genetic, 95% social.
What about you, Agdi?
I would say possibly like a bit more than that for biological, maybe like 10 to 15% biological, and then the rest is social.
Okay, Agdi agrees more with me, so I win.
Why do you win? Why do you win? Oh, because it was a vote.
But what
No,
do you think?
because I think it's like 30. It depends on the trait, but 30, 35% genetic, the rest 70% biological.
I just I just gotta say, like, I appreciate your tenacity and like arguing with these points, but the power of these debates is not really in seeking the truth in them. It's actually what they lead in to their extremes. Because if you're opening the door to say that parts of human social behavior is solely based a large part on genetics, and we're also ascribing it to these socially constructed groups like man or woman, you're also opening the door for them to say, yeah, the blacks are this. That's eventually where it goes. And the Jews are this. So while truth might be what we're trying to seek, I'm always uh, going to be like on your ass about this because this is like no difference than race realism.
No, because like intelligence isn't like a polygenetic traits in the way that we were talking about height or sexual preference and so forth, right? Um, Intelligence emerges in very different ways, right? There's a certain root
It
system
doesn't even have to
that
be
for
intelligence. If we could describe it, let's say somebody could say, yeah, sure, intelligence is not really polygenetic, but you know what? Violence might be. The person with a master's degree in psychology just said that. Somebody could also say sexual desire could be. That I'm sure the psychologists right next
but
to me
like but
might also say
but
that.
that's a poor comparison because if you look at history, white Europeans are one of the most violent people on the planet, so you cannot really compare it to black people. It's
Okay,
not even close.
okay, but now we're
Did,
looking
did
at
black people dominate the
right now
planet?
where most of the wars are happening right now are on the African continent, and they've been raging for a while. So during most of our lifetimes, you could argue there's plenty of evidence to prove the African is a bestial, violent monster.
Wait, no, no, because it's well established, right, in the field of genetics, right? Not even I'm not talking sociologists. I'm talking like genetic people, right? It's the consensus is the racial that race is a social construct, right?
So is
So
woman
for
and
the
man.
case
That
of
doesn't matter. We were using woman and man these past two debates for the same thing.
no, no, but wait. For example, we can still use female and male, right? And how female and male express certain sexual preferences, right? But when it comes to race, you can't do that because race is a social construct.
Some people would argue it isn't. People argue it's a
For example, for
biological
example,
fact.
for example, let's say females have um no, they have bigger hearts. I don't know if that's true, but they have bigger hearts, right? They have bigger what do you call it? Vascularity? I don't know how to say it. I don't know how to say it. We can say that, right? But you cannot say black people um, are more violent because black people is not a scientifically valid concept. It's a social construction. So you cannot put a biological claim on black people because black people is not a biological claim.
Okay, but then you could argue people of a certain melanin hue. You can also code it that way. The darker the melanin, the more likely the person is to be violent. It doesn't have to be under
That,
the social
well, then
construct the same
then
way
you
woman and man doesn't have to be.
then the racist right has to make a very very strong scientific study that correlates right.
And the same type of
Um,
argumentation you were doing
wait,
for the social
that
reality of
correlates.
hypergamy could also be
No,
done
just let me
by
finish,
layering
man.
over biology.
Like I was saying, the racist has to make a very strong case, right? That not only is blackness correlated with violence, but it's also a causation of violence.
I want to know why Nelson. Why do you attribute 30% to genes? Because like when I said 10 to 15%, I was thinking, it's all appearances. Obviously, our genes define our appearances, but also there's a little bit of like those leniencies in our brain. Like I said, with depression,
Tendencies.
tendencies. Like you can have a higher depression gene, a higher aggression gene. I don't know. You can have this different sleep genes, these type of things that may affect your like health and overall general like well-being physically with your genes, but all the other things are attributed to us socially. Like it,
That's
the
sorry,
fact that
sorry.
you have like I don't know, let's say the fact that I have this skin color and this eye color doesn't mean anything unless it's socially interpreted. So yeah, but why do you put 30% on the genes?
Well, that's because every time I look for something, let's say a study or something, and I want to see the heritability of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, which is not always genetic, if I'm being honest. Heritability doesn't necessarily mean genetics all the time. But when I usually go, it's usually a number of 20 or 20 or 30%. So that's basically an average that I've been seeing.
Okay.
But it depends. Certain things are more biological, and
Mm-hmm.
certain things are more social. So it depends. Not all traits are the same.
But would you agree that some of the biologically traits that we have, like the skin color, the eye color, I don't know, whatever, voice tone, uh, wouldn't you say like when these things are just the way they are because of our genes, but just because they are socially interpreted, they have meaning or different types of interpretations, and that's what makes them part of our character.
Uh, hmm. Well, if you're going to look at the human being overall, right? Like of how human beings like interact in society, right? How are we seen and perceived by each other? Then yes, that's absolutely true.
Yeah, I think that's why, like, I don't know. I feel like that's why it should be a bit lower. Because if we didn't have the social construct of race, for example, just because you're born with more melanin in your DNA or in your skin wouldn't really matter. And it wouldn't be part of your character to, let's say, become I don't know, become Malcolm X or something. But just because that is the
But
social construct that follows the biological appearance, it is becoming a part of a character.
so like that's people doing that, right?
Yeah.
Certainly, right? Dark skin is biological, right? But the importance that we put on black skin, the way we treat other people based on black skin, that's 100% biological.
No, that, that's
Oh,
not
oh, sorry,
biological. Yeah.
social. My bad.
Yeah,
Social.
exactly.
My
That's
bad,
what
my
I'm
bad.
saying. Like a lot of the things like a lot of the biologically determined things wouldn't have mattered if we don't put social meaning to them. And
But I'm not thinking on a macro scale. I'm thinking more like more micro. I'm thinking more things like height.
Recording stopped.
oh,
Did it
What?
disappear?
no, it says the recording stopped. Sorry.
Okay. It's all right. Go ahead.
Some things like I'm talking more about like certain like mental illnesses or height and so forth. I'm talking a little bit more smaller, but if we're gonna think things like race, that's 100% social. That is
Hmm.
based on biological observations.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, I don't know where we're going. Do you want to still talk about the movie?
Simon Mad, come on, man. I'm sorry, bro.
I'm not mad. No, I'm just checking the stream, making sure it's still going. Yeah.
I thought we were gonna do one battle after another, man.
Wait, what happened?
One battle after another.
All right, go ahead. What did you want to talk about it? We talked about it for 2 hours.
What did you think about the movie, Nelson?
Yeah, I like the movie. Last time, I was thinking, I was talking with Simon about Perfidia, if I'm not wrong, the name.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it. And I was thinking, like, a lot of people were saying that she's like a character with no real interiority, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought about it, and um, I kind of now after I kind of agree with Simon, right, on the sense that his opinion is valid, if you know what I'm saying, right? Because I was thinking like, man, like, so if that's true, like, even if I like her, that means that like I like shallow characters or something, or that I have poor understanding of racial representation on in cinema, right? And I start feeling guilty. I'm like, am I wrong for liking her? That's what like I was thinking.
I don't think there's something wrong with liking shallow characters. I can't think of any movies right now, but I'm more than certain there are movies that I really love that have sort of shallow, flat characters. You know what I mean? But it's about the overall um, narrative in this case because Perfidia might have been shallow, but why did everybody else have to be shallow as well? You know what I mean? In the French 75. That was an opportunity to maybe use shallow caricatures to tell a broader story about, a left gone astray. You know what I'm saying? Which is a more interesting tale.
And I think
Yeah.
it's like a weird character to choose to be shallow.
The main one.
Yeah, because she's supposed to be like the freedom fighter.
Yeah.
And most of the times when we think about like those type of people, they're not shallow.
They're charismatic, they're deep,
Yeah.
they're a bit erratic, you know what I'm
They're
saying?
usually philosophical. They think about things. So
Yeah.
it's like a weird choice to,
Yeah.
make shallow.
Mm.
I didn't find her shallow. I actually found her quite deep, despite the short runtime that she's on screen.
Mm-hmm.
She reminds me like of somebody who was almost id, representation of the id, you know.
Mm-hmm. Like a strong desire, base
And
carnal desires.
well, I mean, you know, what do I mean? No, that's not what I mean. I'm not talking about desire. I'm talking less social filter, less social restriction in the way we do things, you know?
She was autistic. She was Asperger.
No, actually, the contrary. She was more human, more herself,
I see.
But us having less
less
social
filtered.
restriction doesn't mean that we're just gonna fuck everything we see.
I think she was a sex addict.
Well, she didn't fuck anything she saw.
She just like, do you like black girls?
I mean, I know she didn't really have that much of a choice
Mm-hmm.
when, you know, she was threatened by the white supremacist guy, the general. But still, like, I don't know. Still, why?
I mean, I think, I mean, did she not have a choice? She had a choice to snitch.
She didn't. She did snitch though too. Everybody was snitching. Mm.
I mean, it's not like, you know, she could have, you know, like, and when we're seeing it, maybe she was making the best of it, but like when we saw what we're doing, she seemed very much into it, you know. She was pegging him and so forth.
Yeah.
I'm so mad
It
Tiana
didn't
Taylor
look
is younger
like, you
than me.
know, the typical coercion thing, in my opinion. I don't know. I'm not a woman, so I don't know.
She dropped an album a few months ago. I didn't even know that. This has been her year. Damn. She done dropped a whole album and shit.
I liked her in this movie, but in general, I don't know if she's that good of an actor.
We saw that other film she made, 1,001 Nights or Days or something. You remember that?
Yeah.
It was okay.
Yeah.
She's done a lot of work. She's been working hard since 2010.
But I don't think, like, she's, like, Viola Davis or, you know.
She was in Book of Clarence. She was Mary Magdalene.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Hmm.
But I don't think she has, like, that potential to be, like, a.
I don't know if it was character writing or maybe just, you know, or performance. They don't really distinguish, but I thought her to be very powerful and so forth. And I did some slight investigation. I don't know if you guys know. This is One Battle Left in Order is an adaptation of a book
Mm-hmm.
named Vineland.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen Eddington?
Edmonton?
Yeah,
No, I never
No.
heard of it.
the one with Joaquin Phoenix, where he's a cop.
No.
No.
No. I don't watch a lot of copycat.
Like you didn't see like the meme where like there's a guy, he commits a crime. You know, I'm not gonna say what it is,
Mm-hmm.
and then like he says like, oh my god, this has Antifa all over it.
This film has Antifa all over it.
No, he commits a crime, right?
Yeah,
He
yeah.
fucks up the house, and then he goes back to the house when he's a cop, right? Then he blames the Antifa. He says, "Oh my god, guys, this has Antifa all over it."
Oh, okay. Okay.
You didn't see that movie?
No, we didn't see it.
It's a pretty funny movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's also based on the same novel on Violent,
Okay. We
Thomas
gotta read
Pynchon,
that.
and Diana's character, she's based
If you want, you can close the window.
on a female character on the novel. She's almost exactly the same.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Have you read
So-
that book?
I've seen reviews of the book and slight summaries.
Okay.
But what I think what happened was Paul Thomas Anderson, he wanted to switch races, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then he thought, well, this is going to look a little suspect if I make her black, this character. And he thought, you know what? I don't give a fuck. He just did it anyways.
Okay. Um, um, is there, because, interracial relationships are a major taboo in my country, and I felt like that film was playing with that idea a lot. to help sell the film and also move the story along. But what's it like in Portugal?
Uh, I mean, cultural Portugal is a very racist country, and if you walk but if you walk with if you have an interracial relationship, people are not going to bother you on the street or anything like that. But you might have slight issues with your family.
Mm-hmm.
When you go in certain spaces, people might look at you weird,
What about when it comes
and
to
so
white
forth.
men and black women there? Do you think there's a taboo against that? Or is it like how, white men
Wait,
can
wait, wait.
date? What's
What,
up?
what, what? Black men?
No, white men and black women, right? Because how in one battle after another, do you like black girls? Is used over and over again. You know what I mean? The film is like talking about one of the silent taboos of the relationships between white men and black women.
I think, if I go to a BDSM club, which I might go or might not go, I'm not confirming or denying, right? Right? There's a lot of women there who will want to fetishize you, right? Right?
Mm-hmm.
And as a rule, maybe for me, if I ever go, I won't let a white woman whip me, right?
Okay. But you'll let a
But
black woman
that
whip
doesn't
you?
mean, because there's a lot of white women, I'm sure, who love to do that, some kind of, racial kind of fantasy or so forth. But that doesn't mean when I'm dominating a white girl or something, it doesn't mean that, I'm acting on some uncautious desire to reverse race dynamics. I don't think that was happening with Leo. I think Leo liked her more as a human being. But in contrast, Lockjaw and even her was to look more at the most fetishistic side of things.
Yeah. But I was asking about in Portugal if they side eye white Portuguese dudes with beautiful Brazilian girls. You know what I'm saying?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Not even really Brazilian man like and white woman. Although I'm thinking like in my head, you're stealing our woman. But I'm not gonna I'm not gonna say it.
But I think Lockjaw, even though he might have fetishized Perfidia, he also looked up to her because one of the lines he says is like, she was a warrior, a freedom fighter for truth or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, do you remember Django? Also with Leonardo DiCaprio?
Yep, yep.
Remember like Leonardo DiCaprio said, Django, you're that one guy in a million. You're that guy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think his name was Calvin. I
Yeah.
think he had a
Calvin
lot of
Candy.
genuine admiration. Calvin Candy, yeah. He had a lot of genuine admiration for Django,
Mm-hmm.
but he was still deeply racist. So, I mean, how worth is that admiration?
Yeah.
Maybe a lot, maybe not much. I don't know.
Now, I'm not gonna lie. Since watching that film, I can't not stop thinking about Sean Penn's performance as Lockjaw. I start to like it more the further I get away. It's just the memory of him walking with the skull face all red and bloody, and some of his lines, like
Oh yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
like
That
even
was pretty
even
cool.
though
I'm
he
gonna,
didn't
I'm gonna
say
lie.
anything, the fact he came to the house and he looked at a sign with a straight face and it said, "This pussy don't pop for you," and he had to do an about face to leave the house. That was fun. That's great, bro.
The way he broke down the door
Yes.
with the little military thing.
I came in the house and she said, "This pussy don't pop for you."
I was raped in reverse.
I was raped in reverse.
Did you see the way he walked? He walked kind of funny.
Yeah, man. Because when you get pegged like that.
He had this weird walk to him. Did you see his hairline? That was a weird hairline, also.
Sexual.
If that's what you mean.
If that's what you mean. Should have put on more makeup. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Are Christmas adventures really that lit?
Or what?
Are Christmas adventures really that lit?
Oh, Christmas adventures. I don't know. Acty said she wanted to join the club.
No, I did not. I mean, honestly, they kind of look like one of the most boring white supremacist groups.
Like I feel like they got rich over owning like a monopoly of golf courses.
Yeah, like their meeting and stuff. What was that?
I don't
Like,
know.
you know, because usually you expect like eyes wide shut. I don't know, something.
I bet the induction ceremony is just a big spoonful of mayonnaise. It's like you just the biggest spoon and you just got
Ew.
do it.
Yeah.
Like, I think like the Christmas adventures, like ironically, they were a lot more organized and cohesive, and that's supposed to be like in contrast with the leftists, which were more disorganized, more locally based, and so forth. And the white supremacists, they had a far more universal message, and that's a strength.
I see that. I can see it.
Yeah, I can see it. But also, like, the left, like, with the, what was his name? The karate instructor?
Oh, the Sergio?
Sergio. Sensei Sergio.
Yeah, Sensei.
Like, his people were really organized. You
Yeah.
know, the people he controlled
Yeah.
that were looking up to him. Like, that was organized. And also, like, the organization that, like, Leo and the others were part of, it was like, you know, this call center thing that was organized too. Like, pretty much like everything goes with codes and stuff like that.
Oh, they follow all the codes except
Yeah.
shut the fuck up. they follow all of those codes.
Yeah, except everyone is a snitch.
Yeah, all right. Nobody makes it to
I think the
module 13.
code thing.
Yeah.
What's that? What'd you say?
I think the code thing is supposed to be like, it's actually kind of a critique against leftists. You know, it's supposed to say, you guys are a rebel group who's ironically focusing too much on procedural, meaningless things, you know? You guys are stuck, you know?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's what you guys should be more like water. And like Benicio del Toro's character is basically like, he's like water, he's fluid, he's calm, he's cool. Have you guys heard of Taoism?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think in
He's
some
he's
way,
like a
the film
Taoist,
is-
you know?
I think in some way
That's
the film
that's
is
the
trying
contrast, I think.
I think in some way the film is trying to critique the left, like through the proceduralism, like you said, but also calling the left sort of like a secret society, like the Christmas Adventurers. The Christmas Adventurers have their own code and their own way that they meet in secret and talk and plan how the world should be remodeled, and that's what the revolutionaries are doing too, you know. And is it a fair comparison? Is the Illuminati like the, you know, fucking Black Panthers? I don't think so, but
Yeah.
you know, you could I guess argue that, you know.
I think that actually the underground stuff for the left, I think that was portrayed as cool and so forth, but a little too rigid.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
Yeah. Also, like, the left is very, I don't know, there are so many groups on the left or on the progressive side. Like, you have your commies, you have your central liberals, you have kind of like your socialists. And yeah, like, I feel like you can't really box, like, what Perfidia and their, like, French 75 or 74, I forgot.
Whatever.
Like,
French
they
fries.
don't represent every leftist.
No.
Not even every black leftist, you know.
But I think what the film, and this is, you know, I thought about this from watching somebody else's video, and this wasn't one of the points of the video, but they slightly said it. They said the film is sort of saying, like, you know, the mixed race people of tomorrow are our only hope in future. And that's like when we get introduced to Willow, you know what I'm saying? When we get introduced to Willow, she's like standing in a heroic pose, like, I I will save the day. Karate Kid. Karate Kid. You know what I'm saying? And it's so interesting. Acme
Uh,
and I, yesterday, we watched a movie from Denzel Washington called Devil in a Blue Dress. And in it, the mixed race character,
is it good?
it's very good, I would say. It's kind of a neo noir crime thriller. It's a very good film, but it wasn't exactly my specific taste, and it's not the best Denzel film, but it is good as like a story. You know what I'm saying? Would you agree?
Yeah, yeah. I think Nelson would
Uh,
like it. I don't know if you're into neo noir like thrillers.
Yeah. But anyway,
uh,
in that
yeah,
story,
I guess.
in that story, the mixed race person is actually uh, um, the the villain, kind of, and also in a certain way the tragic hero.
Victim.
Yeah, tragic hero, tragic victim. But you know, it's very funny how we play mixed race people. And sometimes they can be the hero that will unite America, Obama, Willa, Doja Cat, and other times they're the ultimate villains or tragic mulattoes. You know what I'm saying?
Like Drake.
Like Drake, like Drake, or what's her name in Devil in the Blue Dress. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But anyway,
Like Drake is crazy.
anyway, any comments on that?
I don't think she was like. I don't think she was like representing like mixed race people. Or, I think the movie kind of treated her like as black. Even I think she was supposed to be like the new generation, like the one who's into social media and has phones and stuff. That's like, and I think that a critique that the movie was making of the old guard was their lack of adaptation of new stuff, of
Adaptability.
social media and stuff like that.
Mm.
That's why they were making fun of Leo not knowing phones and stuff like that. But I think it's kind of interesting that you guys liked Benicio stuff, like with the church and the immigrants. I actually didn't like that stuff. For me, like it was cool, but ideologically, I found it to be kind of weak.
Honestly, I feel like Tarantino should have made this film because he would have made every community so much more iller. You know what I'm saying? Like Sensei would have actually used that karate on a cop. The fucking nuns would have shot it out with the feds. You know what I'm saying? Like Perfidia would have been badass like Django or Foxy Brown. You know, but every time
She's
Thomas Paul,
badass.
every time Thomas Paul Anderson went to the line, he said, "Let me run to the other side." Instead of crossing that bitch. You know what I'm saying? And to tell this story, even in the middle of the road American capitalistic way, you got to cross that line to get the full effect. Because you set up all these dope ass characters.
Yeah.
Sensei could have used those karate moves with like skateboarders using them as like it could have been more action packed. I would say. What do you
Yeah,
think?
I
but
think Sensei fighting would have been weird.
Man, fuck that.
what did he say?
He said Sensei fighting would have been weird.
I mean, no. Like if it was one scene or something, I think it would have been okay. But like what you said like there wasn't any like sort of deeper meaning into Sensei's actions, and you didn't like that part. But that was like the whole thing about French 75 and the whole like movement. There wasn't any like reason. We didn't know what they were standing for and why were they doing what they were doing
I,
anywhere in the
that's
movie.
interesting you say that. That's really interesting you say that because for me, the French 75 they were like anarchists. They were about disruption, overthrowing, destruction.
For
But
what? Of
that's
what?
why they were real anarchists. That's why I like them more than Benicio stuff because Benicio was more of a let's integrate and work behind the shadows and let's adapt, within the working structure. The French 75 was about destroying the working structure, about tearing it down
But
because for them, I assume the roots are corrupt.
but
The
that's not
house,
true.
I don't know how to say it.
But what you're describing of the French 75 is not true anarchism. Anarchists, real ideological anarchists, are about mutual aid and community solidarity. They're not just about blowing up. Oh, well, a part of it is blowing up detention centers, yes, because it limits human freedom. But they're also about, like, we will build our own society. We don't need a state to tell us to take care of ourselves.
then I would agree with you that they didn't do a fair, a nuanced enough show representation of anarchy of what it entails. But I thought it was still better of what they should have been doing, comparing with Benicio, what was Benicio was doing.
Man, fuck all that. Do you think this film will be better if Tarantino did it? This question is to both of you.
I do. I said that too.
I don't know. You would, I don't know.
Because the thing that changed my mind is when you said that, yeah, he did Django, but he also did.
Inglourious Basterds.
Yeah, Inglourious Basterds, and that was done so well. So this could have been like Inglourious Basterds style as well. Like, it's not a Kill Bill movie, but it's like that Inglourious Basterds or Django.
Yeah, Perfidia should have been a heroic icon. She should not be debatable.
She is a heroic icon.
She's not. No black woman is looking at this film and be like, Perfidia, that's my girl. No. Unless they're,
Well,
divestors that are like, do you like black girls?
I mean, she's pretty cool, though. You have to admit.
She's cool, but she's not an icon like Django is. Like fucking, the Bear Jew is. You know what I'm saying? Like.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they also...
But,
obviously, like, it's understandable because she's, like, really hot and she's very beautiful. But I feel like they just depended on that so much as well. Even just with her relationship with the general. And they didn't actually give her room to speak what she was about. What was her fight. Because it was just like a little blender of things. They put everything in the blender and made like a, I don't know, confetti smoothie. Of like, yeah, they're against abortion. They're against detention centers. And they're against, like, white men and all that stuff. But what are they trying to achieve?
Now, Acti, I got to ask you, to make Perfidia a hero, an icon, I think one of your favorite scenes would have to be changed, which was when she was going through postpartum depression after giving birth. And it's sort of like she left because she was sad. Instead of her leaving, in the new version, she would have to leave to say the revolution goes on. And I will not be shackled to the house like some housewife slave. You know what I mean? That would have to be changed.
I don't think so. I think she could have postpartum depression and still be a revolutionary and still leave for the right reasons while at the same time, like, combating that. But she just left and snitched on everybody.
That is crazy.
That wasn't part of the postpartum depression.
That's not.
Because she was more human than she was a symbol, right? She was very imperfect. I think that was kind of the point. That she couldn't live up to her family's expectations and so forth. It was maybe too much for her.
Yeah, I think like maybe she didn't see herself as a mom in the traditional sense, at least. And she was also being a anarchist about that too. But, you didn't have to snitch on everybody.
But like, do you remember like when Regina Hall, she did a really great job. I loved her character so. But remember when she was being pressed to snitch?
Yeah.
I was thinking, okay, she's kind of doing the right thing, right? But is she really? She's gonna like not going to snitch on a washed up like rebellious group, so like in favor, so she cannot save a teen girl. Isn't a teen girl more important than that?
But she didn't snitch though, right?
She didn't, right? She shows her group, right? She shows the rebellion, right?
Yeah.
Her washed up rebellion.
Yeah.
But like now I was thinking, damn, but are you really gonna let that girl die? Damn.
I guess, I don't know. Maybe I guess she put faith in the chance of her surviving. And hey, it worked out.
Can
I guess.
I just want to jump in. Here's my edit to make Perfidia a hero, pay ode to Asada, and also to a great 1970s female blaxploitation film. Okay? So, when they first break into the immigration center, they blow it all up. Nobody had a mask, especially Perfidia. Lockjaw easily finds her and arrests her. Perfidia goes to jail. And Perfidia is pregnant. right? She's in jail, pregnant, just like Asada, right? The French 75 end up breaking her out of jail instead of doing that bullshit bank robbery. And then that's the downfall of like the French 75, and Perfidia is escapes to Cuba or something like that. You know what I mean? That's what I would do.
I have a question for you, Simon.
What's up?
This movie was made during the Biden administration, right?
Was it?
And
Okay.
and Shakur, she was still alive, right?
Right.
Now let's say while Thomas and the woman who wrote this movie, Trump is in power while in their pre-production process in writing.
Mm-hmm.
Trump is in power, and Shakur just died.
Mm-hmm.
You think they're going to be like, you know what? Let's do things a little differently.
What do you mean? Like change the story to like?
Change the characters, change the story, because this is a Biden era movie.
Ish. I mean, we've been living in a Trump world even though Biden was president. You know, for the past 15 years, or since 2016, it's the Trump era. So,
But you would agree with me that now is even more charged. You have to agree with me, Simon.
it's more charged now, like during this
Yeah, during the
administration.
second Trump thing.
Yeah, it's turned up. It's to the max.
So do you think that would change the production, the writing process?
I mean, if you said they made it last year when Biden was president,
No, they made it like the writing was like 3 or 4 years ago,
uh-huh,
and they shot it like 2 years ago or something.
right. I mean, by making immigration the center, immigration has been, a top priority issue in our country for the past 20 years, right? Since 2010, when Obama was nicknamed the deporter in chief, right? And then we saw the first Trump administration with kids in cages and separating
Yeah,
families. And then Biden came and he rescinded delayed action or something like that. Basically, like, people were applying for refugee status in the U.S. after passing through several countries. And Biden said, no, if you pass through one country, you apply for refugee status there. You know what I'm saying? So it's been fucked
yeah,
up for many presidents. But I mean, I hate to say both sides, but both sides really hate Latin America. We hate brown people in America, even though we kill their presidents, buy their drugs, and spend money in Cancun, So,
yeah. Like you also mentioned, like if I'm not remembering wrong, in the review, you said like it was like bad timing with because there was a real ice attack, right?
mm-hmm.
Do you think like releasing it now is kind of you know politically irresponsible?
No, no. In fact, I think it's really important. It feels timely. It's a film meant for our
Yeah,
time with ice. Before I jumped on live with you, I showed Acty this video of this woman who had been in America for 30 years, never did nothing to nobody, got sent back to West Africa, and got dragged by her legs. Granny got dragged back by her legs to Sierra Leone, where she escaped the Civil War. So it's very important we talk about how we're dehumanizing people. But she was hypergamous, so we're glad she got out there. She was she came to America and chose up on Rich Ballers. So
Wow.
if you leave these things to them, to the people who are quite irresponsible with these things and use it to spread hatred and so forth, that's like a weakness on us. We have to accept people for who they are, even the things that we think are not pretty.
okay, okay. Except the white supremacists. Fuck them.
Of course, of course. Um, would you cut Perfidia, or would you like recenter her?
Ideally, recenter her because there's a lot of potential. But what do you
Yeah.
think, Acty?
I would also recenter her. I love a movie around a strong woman,
Right.
but yeah, not portrayed like this.
But if it was impossible, I think you could cut it entirely. From this film, cut it
Yeah.
entirely, remake it, and redo Perfidia.
Yeah.
But
You give me an idea, Simon. You like when people they're critiquing. I know there's certain stereotypes, right? But like when people they're critiquing Perfidia, right, as a bad mother
Mhm.
and unreliable comrades. Do you think there's like an element of unconsciously defending the patriarchy? Like the black mom, the revolutionary black mom, must be nurturing and self-sacrificing for her family, or or is it like mostly political critique? It isn't just patriarchal moralism, if there is.
Um, I can see some people saying that. What do you think, actually?
So I don't understand the question.
The idea that Perfidia, the critiques of Perfidia are not coming from a place of this character wanting to be better, but the idea that she's out of place as a woman, as the lead for a revolution, and revolutions is
Oh.
a masculine leading thing.
I don't think that's where the critiques are coming from for the most part. Like from the videos I watched, I feel like it was just a bad representation of female revolution and revolutionary figures. So I don't think it's like supporting patriarchy that's saying that, oh, she should know her place.
Hmm.
She should be a good
Yeah,
mom and things like that, because I think you don't have to choose between being strong and being caring. You can be both.
Right, and I would say also, Perfidia is modeled after, Angela Davis, Asada, Afeni, Elaine Brown. Like we've had Harriet Tubman, in my country's culture, right? Strong female revolutionaries is a part of the DNA. It's like they weren't not there.
Mhm.
So I think that's not in our conscious as much to say, oh, she should have been in the kitchen somewhere,
Yeah.
you know.
Because I feel like
but
the audience for this movie is mostly liberal.
You know. Conservatives hate this film, bro. They hate it so much.
I was watching some right wing reviews, and I wrote some notes about it. Let me see if I can find it.
I wonder if you watched the same one we watched.
there's
Where
one on there's one on YouTube where basically he says,
Which?
I don't know the name. I don't Rights Watch movie or something. It's literally called that. But basically he said something like Lockjaw, a hard-working American patriot.
in this movie, the good guys lost.
a, bu-
Oh,
a bunch of Antifa illegal scum.
Bunch of rebels who want to destroy our country.
I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
chill, Darth Vader.
do you guys know Nerdrotic? Nerdrotic?
No, is that a channel?
Okay. Yeah. Let me see if you. I have one that you guys know. Um,
Anyway, we're
he's a
about to.
racist. You know those guys who complain about women in comic book movies and so forth.
Oh yeah,
Those pathetic losers. Yeah, that's that guy. And they make like millions of views somehow, whatever.
they were mad when Mary Jane was
Oh
Zendaya.
my, oh my God! Look at what they're complaining nowadays.
What?
Oh my God! Where's the big titted woman in movies? I'm not even joking. That's what they're saying. I want a real American woman. I want
they're
Sydney
like,
Sweeney.
they're like, God damn it, Lois Lane is not Latina.
Do you know those guys love Sydney Sweeney, right?
Oh my God,
Yeah.
the fall off, the fall off.
Mm.
Oh
That
yeah,
was your
I have it
girl,
here.
Anthony. Why you like?
That was never my girl.
You were all up in that. What was that stupid ass show? Erection.
Euphoria.
Euphoria.
Orgasm.
Euphoria
I
is
watched
fire.
it
Euphoria
one
is fire.
time.
You watched it. You binge watched that.
Yeah, I binge watched it, but I wasn't watching for Sydney Sweeney.
Oh.
I was watching for
I was
fun.
watching for Sydney Sweeney.
Wow.
All I saw
You,
was
you
that
haven't you never
episode.
seen that show, Simon?
No, I just saw the episode when Zendaya
Yeah.
got crackhead superpowers.
Actually, in that series, Sydney Sweeney's character is very annoying.
Really?
Yeah.
I just saw this.
She got
I
like,
think-
imposter syndrome.
She was one of the best characters in that thing, in my opinion.
No, her character was like, it was well structured, but it wasn't like a character that you were rooting for. I think I wasn't rooting for her character.
You weren't, or you were?
I wasn't.
I was 100%,
Okay.
100%. Zendaya was trash, by the way. Look, I have Ben Shapiro. You guys know Ben Shapiro, right?
Has Ben Shapiro reviewed this movie?
Yeah, he did.
Oh God.
I have notes. I have like Ben Shapiro, basically. Technically solid movie, morally disgusting. Says it's apologia for radical left-wing terrorism that glamorizes Antifa-style groups. Cops portrayed as villains,
I don't know.
radicals portrayed as sympathetic heroes. Cops are real heroes in real life. Politics so bad they corrupt the storytelling. The storytelling. Quotes: an apologia for radical left-wing terrorism.
Wow.
Yeah, that's my notes of it that he
Yeah,
wrote.
that makes sense. Coming from Ben Shapiro, that makes perfect sense.
He calls it basically well-made propaganda. That's what he calls it.
What do you have to say about your people, Simon?
About Ben
American.
Shapiro?
Americans.
No, we're crazy. I mean, he's not wrong that it's propaganda, but it's, like all media products, it's media meant to uphold the status quo. You know what I mean?
But it's not even a successful propaganda, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you guys seen that show I recommended like a million times, that docu series,
Yes.
Can Get You Out of My Head.
Yes, we should. I thought we were gonna watch that together, but then we started going off about hypergamy and hype genes.
We can watch it. Are you guys going to leave now? I can watch it.
We're
I
gonna
have
watch
no
it.
work tomorrow.
We're gonna watch it in next time, man. Next time, I gotta go, man. I got stuff
All right.
to take care of. But it's always great to talk with you, man.
Me too. Me too.
Okay. You still hanging strong for No Nut November, or have you been bussing?
Of course, man. I think I'm still holding strong, man.
I'm still holding strong.
You're doing it too?
Yes. How many more days we got? We got
I think 8.
8 more days. We can
7.
do it. We can do it, champ.
I'm gonna lie. This was easier than I thought.
It was easier than I thought. Yep. I agree. Well,
The beginning was wild, though. The first few days, though,
that's crazy.
that was something.
But no, we're gonna review it together. We'll watch it on live stream together and review it together. One
All right.
episode though, because I think it's multiple episodes, right? How many?
5
5, and each one's an hour.
around.
Okay, yeah.
I recommended it because we were talking about revolution, and it's basically kind of about revolutionaries and revolution.
Okay. Yeah, we'll check it out. But it'll be easy out there, man. We'll talk next time. I think we'll do this Sunday.
Have a good
Sundays
night,
are
man.
best days.
Take care.